So when mountains are far away, they look kind of grayish, okay? So if I look at this piece right here, what do you guys notice about it? It's darker in the front, okay? So this first mountain is darker. So that's a value shift that's happening. It's getting lighter and lighter as it goes back. Have you guys ever heard that song, The Beautiful for Spacious Skies and Purple Mountain Majesties, right? So the Purple Mountain Majesties is what's called atmospheric perspective. So atmospheric perspective is when something is really, really far away, okay? And the atmosphere itself gives it kind of this hazy blue-purple kind of a look. And so it's not really purple, it's not really blue, it's kind of like this blue-purple color that we have. So we're gonna make our sunset landscape by watercoloring different pieces of paper, and then we're gonna cut out our mountains and put them together. So then the challenge becomes that to get your pieces of watercolor paper, I'm doing like a mini version of it right here. This is the version I did last period, okay? And I haven't cut the mountains out of it yet. And my middle one is a little bit close in value to my front one. So I could either add some water to my middle one, I can make a new one, or I could make my front one darker, okay? So that's a little challenge for myself. Now, one of the things that I want to do right away is decide whether or not I want a big sky or a little sky. So this is a little bit more of, I'd say a little bit more of a little sky, okay? The number one thing we don't want to do is stick our skyline right in the middle. And because we're doing these long skinny compositions, it's going to help out a lot on that. So little sky would be like if I scooted these all up together and they were like more towards the bottom. Or sorry, that's big sky. So there's a lot of my sky. Okay. And then little sky is if like I take up more space with my mountains in the front. And that could just kind of depend on you, like what kind of mountain range you want to do. Like, is it big and wavy and curvy, or are they like stacked close together and kind of overlapping like that one? So what I need to do is I need to decide, so I'm going to set this one aside because it's going to be my background, okay? Right now I'm going to work on my 3 mountain ranges. So my one in the front doesn't have to be as tall, so I'm going to pick a shorter piece of paper for that one. So I've got this will be my darkest value, my middle value, and my light value. So these are my far away mountains, these are my up close, these are my middle range mountains, and these are my up close mountains, okay? Now the trick with watercolor is, you guessed it, water. Yes. And I'm giving you guys like real watercolor paper here, which if you've ever tried to paint watercolor on non-watercolor paper, that's like, it's not pretty. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Why are you guys so quiet? You're so quiet. Okay. So I'm gonna just give this a nice coating of watercolor. And the nice thing about this is we're not doing any detail work, so we don't actually need a detail brush. These bigger brushes are gonna work. So what I want to do is I actually want to mix myself a neutral or a desaturated blue-purple. And the way I do that is by adding a little orange or yellow-orange to blue-purple. So I can mix it in a pan or I can mix it straight onto these. So let's mix one in the pan, okay? So I'm just going to get a little bit of yellow in there. And just a little bit of orange in there. And I'm cleaning my brush off in between. Right now, everyone take their hand and do a practice brush going side to side, side to side. Feel your fingers go side to side. That's how we clean our brush and use our brush. We never want to go straight down, okay? Side to side, okay? And then you can just dab off the water, and then that's how I get some of the water off my brush. So now I'm gonna add some blue over here, okay, and I want it to be more blue-purple, so I'm gonna add a little bit of purple as well, okay? So that is looking pretty light because I have so much water in it, so I think I'm just gonna start over here with what is supposed to be my lightest one. And there's, you guys see the variations in the color? That is why watercolor is actually so amazing, is because there are those variations in it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and come back to that one, and what I'm gonna do over here is with my front one, I'm gonna start with some super saturated blue. And I actually need to add water. If it's not like spreading really nicely, you need to add water. Because for some of this, for this first part right here, I can actually mix my colors right onto. So I'm adding a little bit of orange because what I want to do is I want to desaturate my blue. So desaturating the blue means it makes it more naturalistic looking. Okay, so what we want to avoid is getting that look that it came straight out of the paint box. So now that I've done that, I'm going to start adding some of my purple. And my far away one's looking like really light right now, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and use notice I didn't dip my brush. I'm just using some of the paint that's already on here to kind of come in there and do that, okay. So I added a little bit of yellow because yellow is the opposite of purple, and that will desaturate my purple a little bit. At this point, I'm starting to get it so that the three of them are different values. So I have a light value, a middle value, and a dark value. But they're mostly in the same color scheme. I think I want my foreground one to be a little more on the blue side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then, again, I'm not going to dip my brush. And I'm just going to use it to layer this up a little bit. I like all the color variations I'm getting in the middle one right now. So maybe I'll come use some of this over here, and I'm just not really gonna, I'm just gonna dab it a little. There are no, what is it? There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Bob Ross? Bob Ross? Yeah, yeah. This is art class. Come on, let's quote some Bob Ross. Okay, so my background, I probably should leave this one alone because I don't want it to get too dark. So my little methodology that I have going on right now is I'm doing like a desaturated blue, and then I'm adding my purple to it. And again, like I actually want it to be a little bit different colors. So I'm gonna kind of do that a little bit, and then do you guys mind if I break the rules a little? Yeah. Okay, you got this. All right, I'm gonna break the rules a little and add a little bit of green to my front mountain there. And then if I don't love it, I'm just gonna add some purple back in so it's more blue purple. Okay, I'm gonna let this one dry a little because I probably will need to do another coat on this one. And I don't want to do too much here, but what I can do now is I can also kind of like, if you pick it up, you can let the watercolor run a little bit like that. Okay, and you can kind of get those interesting variations. I'm gonna wait a little bit on this last one. So I'm getting closer to where I want to be. I feel like I'm getting more of my middle, dark, medium, light, okay? But now what I want to do is I want to do my beautiful sunset, okay? And I like to think of the sunset part as basically you're trying to like mix the color of orange sherbet. So I don't mind that there's a little bit of blue, because what's that going to do to my orange? Unsaturate, desaturate, which makes it more naturalistic looking. It makes it a more naturalistic looking orange color. So I'm gonna use this orange right here. And actually, before I even do that, I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of red so it's more like a red orange. And, you know, we make the rules to break the rules. I'm gonna pull in some of this like sparkly magenta color. The skyline is one that doesn't need very much work. And, yeah. I don't even know how much more I would do. I'll just paint that whole thing, kind of. And then, you know what I'm gonna do, just to be a little creative here, I'm gonna add this at the top. But I don't know which side I'm gonna use yet, so that's kind of the exciting part about this one right now. So, and I don't love what it's doing right there, and so there are no mistakes. See, just happy little accidents. And then I'm gonna do that at the other side too, just to kind of see what I get. So if I get this like feeling of like the night sky coming down. Okay. Kind of ominous looking. And I like that. I'm gonna let that kind of sit and get happy. I think I put a little too much blue on it, but there we go. I'll just dab off my top, and now it kind of looks like clouds. I could pull it out a little bit more like that. Okay, and so this is going to become my sunset background, just like that one. Yes? The next step after this, we'll practice some mountain ranges, but first we get to do the fun part, which is the painting part. Okay? All right, let's do it.